morning and welcome to another Monday morning art talk. So today what I wanted to talk about is just a couple of things that I think I tap into a lot of ideas of initiative. And why I just kind of keep talking about initiative is because that's how I feel anything sort of really gets done, as long as you're willing to take initiative. And I just recently returned back from Scotland. I had a great trip, did a 2-day workshop out there, and I just want to share with you how it really came about. So I met this, great bunch of Scottish guys, and when I was in at a convention, and one of them, Ryan Adams, this guy named Ryan Adams, talking to him, and he's all, hey, would you ever sort of come out to Scotland? And I thought, yeah, man, that's one of my dreams. I've always wanted to go to Scotland. It's on the bucket list, right, of where I want to go. Is also, what do you have to do to get? I said, well, like, when would you come out, or could you do it? And I say, just make it happen. He's like, well, what do you mean make it happen? And I said, yeah, it's just about, again, just sort of, if you want me to come out, just, sort of put it together and yada, yada. We were talking. And about a week later or so, I got an email from him, said, hey, I figured it out. We could do it. I got it all set up. I'm like, what? And this guy just sort of taking initiative, started it. So we kind of put together this little website thing and put it out there. And all of a sudden, before you know it, people were just signing up. I posted it, and it just happened from that idea of just taking the bull by the horns and taking initiative and doing that. And that's what was so always remarkable to me, because I know it to be such a truth. When you take initiative and you sort of do these things, that's how you make things happen. When you don't put that energy or time, where you just talk about it, nothing happens. And this is the common thing, that people just don't take that next action just to make their realities come true. You got to take that initiative. You want to get into a certain type of magazine, whatever it may be, well, contact those people, put stuff out there. And that also taps into just these other schools. I've heard a lot of time, oh, we'd love to have you out, but my school won't do it. Or I've heard so many schools reject it, which is a very sad thing to me, that they charge, these young kids so much money for the schooling. And yet here's an opportunity to bring certain guest speakers out, or just, share the knowledge for them to share the wealth, and they don't do it. And they make up all the excuses as they can't afford it, their budget and all that. Yet they put it, they're not spending the budget, they're hoarding it, or doing God knows what with it, instead of creating these programs to help so many students. So I think that's where a lot of these clubs are formed. And I see a lot of these schools, like San Jose, the Shrunken Headman Club has a great club, and I've gone to them for years. And you hear these guys, all go-getters, these kids who organize these organization, and they fund it themselves, and they bring out guest speakers. And it's a beautiful thing, but they have to take initiative. Otherwise, things just don't happen. And I think that's the really sad part about it. But my only thing to that is, well, hey, you know what? Forget the schools. If the schools aren't going to do it, if the schools aren't willing to help out and do that, well, this is where students are capable of doing this yourself, just like what Ryan did for Scotland. And all of a sudden, you kind of put this grassroots thing together, and boom, before you know it, there I was in Scotland, making this all a reality and happening, and I just love it. But what I kind of wanted to tap into too was one of the biggest things that I hear over and over again. I want to share this story with you, is about sort of like just taking initiative, and another just persistence and pursuing and never giving up on things. And oftentimes I hear people, they try, I even heard it a couple times at the workshop, people, they try to so they submit somewhere, they're trying to get a job doing something, okay, and what's going on is that they won't hear back. They try it, and all of a sudden, they're not hearing back from the person, and then they don't try again, and it just stops at that point. And I think it's just so important just not to do that, is to try other ways. It's about contacting people and maybe someone else, or doing something, and not just ending it there. And I hear that story over and over again. And this is why I just kind of wanted to talk about this and talk about something that happened while I was there. So, went to Scotland. grassroots event here. Just started from people who wanted to make it happen, and then I went over there and we got the room, we got the the Cintiq. We're using his Cintiq. I got my computer, but we needed a projector, and we were waiting on the projector, and we got there early. And this is one of those stories where you can't always rely on other people. Even though people say they're going to come through for you sometimes, it's not always going to be the case. And so we were, we got this room, which was very awesome, very gracious of the people who gave it to us. And they were going to provide a projector as well. But they were supposed to have it there at about 8 o'clock. So we waited around, and all of a sudden it wasn't coming because we needed to make sure everything worked. I wanted to test it before the workshop the next day. And so it never came around. She ended up calling, got in contact. Nope, she's not going to be able to make it there tonight. It's not going to happen. And it was just like, oh, man, dang, we need to figure this out. We don't know what chords we need. We don't know, oh, no, what are we going to do? Thinking about that. And being in Scotland, it's not like being in America where everything's open 24/7. There, we're just like, oh, my God, where are we going to find an electrical outlet? Because it's not HDMI. We knew that. Or maybe we didn't because she didn't really know. So we didn't know how we were going to hook up the projector now. And so we said, hey, let's go and just try to find a store and see if we can do it. Again, keeping in mind, things are all closed, by that time. So we ended up driving to a couple of places. We were almost like a Walmart type of place, and they never had it. Yeah, I didn't, really think that they would. But we tried, it's like knew that maybe they're not going to have it, but I'm still going to try. And we tried, and they didn't have it. So then the next thing is we thought, well, maybe we can... what if we go, what if I ask the person at the hotel I'm staying at? Maybe they just might, shot out of the dark. Do you have a projector we could borrow? Why not? I'm going to try again, even though things seem like outlandish and far-fetched and that's crazy. You got to try. So I did. So I ended up trying. And what I did was I asked them, do you have a projector that I could borrow? No, unfortunately, we only have one for guests of the hotel. That would be the only thing that would be possible. And I thought, oh man, I said, well, what about shut out of the dark? Do you by any chance, do you have a Thunderbolt VGA connector that I could maybe use for a Macintosh, right? She says, oh my God. And she said, surprisingly, well, let me check. Maybe we might. I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. Thank God I asked, So she went digging around inside this drawer, and to, no prevail, she, couldn't find something. No, sorry, I thought maybe we would, but, unfortunately, we don't. And I thought, okay, no problem. And she said, but, I'll still check. Let me check, and I'll ask someone else. I'll ask the manager, and I'll get back to you. I'm all, well, you going to call me? Can you call me tonight? I just flew in. I got to go to sleep. So, yeah. Okay, so I was waiting around for her to call, and she didn't call, so I ended up just deciding, I'm just so tired, I just got to go to sleep. And so I went to sleep and woke up the next morning, and there was a note underneath my door. That morning woke up going, and the guy Ryan was going to pick me up early that day just so that we can try to find something, go to a store, though the Apple store that they did have wasn't going to be open till around 10 o'clock, so that was posing a problem. But what ended up happening was I got a note under my door saying, sorry, we looked, and there was, we just don't have anything. So, 2 tries, in my opinion. She couldn't find it when we looked the first day, got a note. She asked the manager, wasn't something there. So then I went downstairs the next morning, and I thought, hey, there's someone new there. Someone standing new there. And it's like, you know what? I'm just going to try again. I figure, why not? See what happens. And I went and asked the guy, I said, hey, do you have a VGA Thunderbolt? He said, oh, let me check this drawer. Check the same drawer they checked with the girl last night. And I thought, same thing. He's like, we're not going to find it there. But I'm going to let him look. I'm not going to jump in and say, oh, no, we already checked there last night. Because you don't want to do that. Because maybe they might still find it. Maybe that girl didn't move something over. And then he said, nah, man, he said, but hold on, let me check another place here. And then he goes and there's a little coffee cup, just sitting there with his, with a bunch of pencils and everything else kind of coming out of it through there, and some paper clips and whatnot. I don't know what else was in there. And he started digging through it, and he said, oh, here we go, like this. I said, oh my God, that's awesome, great, thank you. So it was just really, an element of showcasing the fact that not to give up just after one try. Just keep trying, because things are always going to change. People are going to change. There's different people to talk to. You don't know until you try it. And especially in the industry, people don't last around that long, in all honesty. They may be at a studio for 6 months, and during that 6 months you submitted your portfolio or something, and then you never heard back. But now she's been there, that person, he or she's been replaced by someone else. So you just don't know. And I think that's the true power of persistence, of keep trying. And luckily I got in the car, with Ryan, and we had picked some, a couple of other people up, and we were driving, and he had all the technical stuff just in case. But he didn't have the piece he thought he had. He grabbed the whole wrong thing, and he didn't even have it anyway. And it's like, oh man, luckily I got this. It's like, oh wow. So we showed up, and boom, and it all worked, and everything went smoothly. And it was just became that other case once again of whatever it is you're going through, whatever you submit, whatever you try, however many no's you get in your life, it doesn't matter. I just say F the no's. Forget about the no's. You can replace the F, forget about, with something else, but F the no's. All right, it's like, let's just keep trying, keep pursuing, keep persisting, and who knows how many times it takes, but try. So that's it. Anyway, what I was just doodling around here, I'm playing with this new program. It's called ScreenFlow, and because my quick time is taking up so much of my space, I was just trying to find a new thing, and this thing records me too, so it has me. I'm not making promises that I'm going to draw every week. I can't do that. But for the art talks, but I think it's cool that I can right now. And this was a guy that we were in a pub in Scotland, and I saw this guy. He was in there, and he was a very nice guy. These were actually big white things. He had some just big white eyebrows there. He was very skinny. He was wearing a V-neck sweater. And he got up, and he was very interesting. I think he was a musician, from what I understood, was told. And just a really fun, cool looking character. He's just very skinny, little skinny jaw, long chin through there. He had kind of big nose. But those are the things when I'm looking at people, I'm just trying to observe. And this is part of using your memory in that memory sketch, because it's so vital to recall from experience to next time. If I had to draw someone in a pub, I have it in my mind, and I can draw him in, many different variations and ways, but it's a beginning. Anyway, thanks for listening, and I shall talk to you guys next week. Take care. Hello, this is Steven, and I just wanted to tell you about this cool thing that I'm doing right now through my website at silvertunes.com. It's a Skype mentorship. In a sense, what I want to do is just talk to you, meet you, tell me about things that are happening in your life, see if there's anything that I could do to help you. I can look over your artwork, do your portfolio, and just maybe try to push you in the right direction that you want to take your life and your journey. All right, so you can go to silvertunes.com, go to classes, click on mentorship, and you can learn all about it. We can try to arrange a time, set up a date. It doesn't matter where you live in the world. And I just wanted to make it just very affordable, just to open it up, because I love doing this. I love meeting people from all over the planet. It's a really cool thing, and with this technology, why not? So that's it. Thanks. Whoa! Hey! Go back. Go back.
Go back.
Great. Go back. Go back.